Hello everybody, and welcome to Hungary's premier language learning video blog. I'm your host, Michael Lyons. Today we're going to talk about a special American holiday and a very special American. With Martin Luther King Day approaching, I thought this would be a great time to talk a little bit about Martin Luther King Jr., about what makes him so special, about why he is so famous, and why he is celebrated by so many people to this day. Martin Luther King Jr. was born in 1929. He was the son of a reverend, basically a religious minister, and he himself became a clergyman. He also worked in the church. He was actually named after German Protestant reformer Martin Luther, so an argument could be made that there was something about his name that destined him to promote change, to fight for change in his life. King was the chief spokesperson and key symbol for nonviolent activism. Many people compare him to Mahatma Gandhi in this respect. He was a key figure in the civil rights movement in the United States in the 1960s. To give a little background on the situation of African Americans at the time in the United States, blacks, for example, were expected to sit in the back of public buses. There was widespread and institutionalized segregation. Schools, bathrooms, public bathrooms, water fountains, etc. There were separate water fountains and bathrooms for blacks and separate ones for whites. This might seem strange and unbelievable in 2013, but only about 50 years ago in the United States, this was a reality for millions of black people. And Martin Luther King Jr. played a major role in changing all of this. And here we are in 2013 with a black president in the White House. It's amazing how much has changed in just 50 years. Martin Luther King Jr. is most famous for the I Have a Dream speech, which he gave in 1963 in Washington, D.C. One of the most famous lines from the speech, and I'm going to read this now, "I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today." It was largely as a result of this speech that he became widely recognized as one of the great public speakers in American history. This speech is often referred to as an excellent example of public speaking. So, if you ever have to give presentations as part of your work, I would strongly advise listening to and reading the speech. It's actually, even despite the poor sound quality, very hard to listen to the speech without getting goosebumps, without the hair standing up on your arms. Definitely worth listening to. In 1964, he was awarded the Nobel Prize for fighting against racial inequality through nonviolence. He also fought against poverty, which means poorness. We don't say poorness in English, but we say poverty. He also fought against poverty and the American War in Vietnam. Sadly, on April 4th, 1968, he was assassinated, meaning that he was shot and killed on the second floor balcony of the hotel room where he was staying in Memphis, Tennessee. For many years after that, there was talk of commemorating Martin Luther King Jr. in the form of a national holiday. But it was only in 1983, after widespread public lobbying, that President Ronald Reagan officially made Martin Luther King Day a federal, meaning a national holiday. It is celebrated on the 3rd Monday of January every year, right around the time of Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, and this year that day falls on January 20th. Some people were initially reluctant to observe the holiday, so when it was first made an official holiday, there were some people who didn't want to celebrate it. However, as popular stand-up comedian and actor Chris Rock put it, you really have to be racist, you really have to hate black people if you don't want to take off the day from work to celebrate Martin Luther King Day. I think he has a good point. Today, Martin Luther King Day is celebrated throughout the country, and Martin Luther King remains one of the most highly respected Americans who never actually held public office. I really hope that you enjoyed today's video and today's topic. Next to the video and website, you can find a PDF file with the full text of this video, as well as some follow-up links about Martin Luther King Jr.'s life, about Martin Luther King Day, some of his famous quotes, and of course, a link to the famous I Have a Dream speech. It has been a pleasure as always. Thank you so much for joining us, and see you next time. Cheers.